What would Katniss do? Last week I talked a bit about the attack on Venezuela and how facing up intersects with that very real world event that we're having to deal with. This week we have fresh fuel to the fire with I think murder is the right word, of Renee Nicole Good. And so this question, what would Katniss do, comes up. And I confess that this idea comes not from me, but from my sister, who listened to last week's episode and said, yeah, it was great bringing in the Hunger Games as an example of what we're dealing with. But after using Katniss as a model, you never really answered the question, in today's world with what's going on, what would Katniss do? So that's what I want to try to do today. And in order to do so, we have to go back to the world of the Hunger Games. And by the way, spoiler alert, if you are one of the people who lives in a cave and has not seen the Hunger Games, I'm going to reveal the entire plot. So I recommend that you just go watch it and then watch this video. But if you just want to hear the plot, here you go. In the first movie, it starts out with the situation where you have all of the wealth concentrated in a very small number of people who use the rest of the population as basically slaves to fund and to sustain their extravagance. Well, immediately that resonates, doesn't it? Because we live in a world where one person in the United States owns more than 50%, has more total wealth than the bottom 50% of the population. There's an imbalance here that I don't care which side of the spectrum you're on. It's become obscene. So anyway, that resonates. And in this world, of course, what the solution that the bullies have come up with is to hold Hunger Games. And in this Hunger Games, people are pitted against each other, and it's kill or be killed. Basically, they're trying to reduce the people into being pure predators, and just kind of holding the fact that we all live and move and have our being in a world where I wish it weren't true, but nature is red and tooth and claw. And so there's just this, like, okay, you're an animal, behave like one, admit it, and the meanest animal wins. In a way, it sort of is a vindication of the culture to pit people against each other like this and say, see, you're no better than us. You fight. When it comes right down to it, you fight for your existence too. And that's just the way it is, and that's just how it's going to be. So just accept it. The ending of the first movie is triumphant, and actually the whole thing, just to see Katniss resist against this throughout the whole movie, to show compassion to Rue, to defend herself when necessary, but never to become like her oppressors and become this sort of evil person who's like out in it for herself, out to attack. She kills when she's attacked, but she really never goes on the offense. She just survives. She does what she has to survive, and shows compassion along the way in any way that she can. So the ending, of course, is the most triumphant when they pit her against PETA, and it's kill or be killed with your boyfriend. And of course, they make a suicide pact, and in triumph, they just refuse to be reduced to subhuman. And it is the most beautiful ending. But it leaves us with a lot of questions because we're really not resolved. Snow is still in charge. The evil capital city is still very much functional. What we want to happen, of course, when we see an injustice is we want the good guys to ride in on the white horse, blast everyone to smithereens, get rid of all the bad guys. And so now we've got the golden age coming in. All the good guys rush in, and we have this idyllic, paradisaical culture where everything is good and we live happily ever after. That's what we want. The next two movies of the Hunger Games are not nearly as satisfying as the first one, but they are very authentic. And so as the story progresses, of course, there's a second Hunger Games, and Katniss rebels against that and is joined, or you might say, is captured by her own side, the ones who are resisting the Capitol, and Katniss is made an object of propaganda. It's interesting throughout the Hunger Games story how much propaganda plays in, and what is the narrative, and what how are we portraying ourselves, and like we're trying to sell a story, basically, right? This is the true story, and the Capitol's trying to do that, and the resistance is trying to do that, and they're trying to use Katniss as a pawn in the resistance, willing at times and not so willing at others, and kind of even resisting that, right? But the ending is what really strikes me. That at the end of the third movie, it's not the obliteration of all the bad guys and the good guys take over and everybody is cheering and it's all happy. It's not that. The ending is so striking because it's, what you want, of course, is for Katniss to pull back that arrow and shoot President Snow through the head. You're just like, yes, now we can get behind that. But what happens is not that Katniss shoots President Snow. Katniss shoots the leader of the resistance, of the very people that she was a part of. And I think that is profound because basically what has happened is one dogma is being replaced by another dogma. And so the result is that no, neither dogma is acceptable. And in its place, Katniss and Peeta go off into exile. They have to go and hide. And that's sort of like, I don't know, they move to Europe or something. They get out of the mess. But what's left behind, I think, is really profound. It's this messy government. It's this, I don't even remember the name of the leader who is put in charge, but she, it's not like, okay, we got this now. Everything's going to be okay because we're in charge. It's like, okay, now we're going to have to get down to the hard, difficult work of trying to exist together. And that to me is so real because that's what we have to do in this world. This idea that the good guys can wipe out the bad guys and everything's going to be okay. I mean, it's easy to buy into that idea. It's just never true. And for me, the genius, the beauty, the thing that I'm proud about the United States is that historically, it has been a place where we say we are a melting pot. We bring all different kinds of people. We bring all different kinds of ideas to the table. We won't endorse any one religion or any one philosophy. We come together and we do this hard work of getting along with each other. So we in our country right now have fallen into a clash of dogma. I think there was a time when there was more of this tug back and forth of ideas, but there was this agreement that we're all in it together, and we're going to have this debate about what's the right way to spread out the wealth or how to regulate business or all these different questions. But we're going to get together and we're going to duke it out, but without killing each other, and we're going to eventually come to a consensus and move ahead. That, by the way, is a pretty good definition of marriage. Marriage is about finding our way together. It can't be I'm in charge or you're in charge. I'm going to vanquish, my wife and then take charge, and then our marriage and our lives are going to be perfect, or the other way around. It has to be people coming together to find a way together. But we've fallen into this polarization where we talk about a cancel culture. It's my way or the highway. And basically, if you don't check the box on every piece, then you are not one of us. You're out. You are not someone to be talked to. You're someone to be rejected, othered, shoved to the side. I think that happens on both sides. I think that Trump is the most blatant example of that we've seen so far. I mean, it is absolutely, you either agree with me or you are out. I mean, just plain out. Okay, so when Trump got elected, My bright spot was, well, maybe this is the reset we need. Maybe people will realize that this dogma of the right is not going to save us. And let me just pause, digress yet again on another tangent to say that I am a person who grew up in a house that my parents were Democrats. Even though I went to a conservative Southern Baptist church, my parents were always very compassionate, embracing, democratic living kind of people. When I became went to seminary and became a pastor in the Central Valley, I was very much on the right. I was, yes, all in on. I remember, I'm kind of embarrassed about this right now, but I just remember dragging my son in and watching as Saddam Hussein's statue fell, and I said, "Look at us, look at us. We're good people, and we're doing the right thing, and bringing democracy to Iraq." And I was all in. I was all in on the right. And then when we moved to Seattle after I left the ministry, and I'm basically all in on the left. I've lived on both sides, is what I'm trying to tell you. And I don't believe the dogma of either side is the reset we need. What we need is the way the Hunger Games ended. We need to get back to a place where the question is, how will we live together? It's us. How will we come together and do this hard work of being together? I looked up the word democracy. Government by the people, exercised either directly or through elected representatives. It's people and the voice of the people ruling the people. To put it in President Lincoln's words, it's of the people, by the people, for the people. You can't say it more beautifully than that. The problem is, when you just try to fight dogma with dogma. So, what would Katniss do? What would Katniss do if she were sitting in this chair in 2026 and watching the world be the way it is? And I think one thing you might see, if she would get her boyfriend and go into exile, she would just get out of this thing and say, this is hopeless. Well, that's one option. You could try to move to Europe to escape it, but I don't think you can escape it anywhere. But I don't think that's really what is held up and why we admire this character, Katniss, for her role in the Hunger Games. What we see is someone who is fighting the dogma, but not with dogma, with humanity. I think Katniss would fight dogma with humanity. And of course, you care for yourself. Of course, you're going to defend yourself. But you also look around and at your world and you see other people who are being othered or oppressed, and you care for them. So her family, the people in her district, Rue in the Hunger Games. So she looks around, even the environment. All of the images of Katniss in her glory are her out in nature, right? Just sort of enjoying everything, the birds, the trees, the air, and just sort of there's this idea of harmony, people coming together, finding a way forward together. So you would fight for this coming together, but it's not one dogma or the other. Resist without dogma. Resist without hate. This is not easy. This is a tall order. And there's a reason why most people don't do this, why we mostly will choose one side or the other, and then, just try to live with this illusion that if we just stomped them out, everything would be okay. Gosh, we've watched that for so many years, from the left to the right, to the left to the right. Each time this celebration, now our guys are in control. Everything's going to be great. I just think we have to get away from that. I'll give you 3 examples to close here of people who I think fought dogma with humanity. One is Jesus. I no longer think that we have this full and complete picture of Jesus from the Gospels that I once thought we did, but I think there's enough there to see that this person, this amazing person, was somebody who very much resisted inequality, cared about the oppressed, the poor, and very much fought, but not with hate. I mean, so many statements of that, but the key one on the cross, Father, forgive them, they know not what they do. So even in the end, with this picture of Jesus, we have a hero who is fighting, but not with hate, with love. A second example is just from my own experience watching The Hiding Place, the story of Corrie ten Boom, who was taken into a concentration camp, and she and her sister Betsy were there, and this account describes the kind of torture that they underwent. Her sister Betsy dies from the abuse, but before she dies, the thing that just stuck with me from that movie, haunts me to this day, is just her looking at her sister Corrie and saying, "Don't hate, Corrie. Don't hate." Because, see, like, Betsy understands the real enemy. The real enemy is hate. And it's, yes, the Nazis have to be resisted, but the real enemy, the one that will destroy us, is hate. Choosing this illusion that we are righteous, they are evil, we just have to stomp them out, everything will be okay. Hate is the enemy. And then the last one, I bring it full circle to Renee Nicole Good. I don't know that much about her. Things may come out. I don't know. But from what we've seen so far, she is a person who was resisting oppression on behalf of marginalized people. She wasn't doing it in a violent way. Her glove compartment was filled with stuffed animals. This narrative that she saw some ICE agents stuck in the snow and just took her car and was crazily just trying to ram them. All of that, just like pure bullshit. It's so disgusting that this narrative is being put out there, propaganda, remember, from Hunger Games, and that people are buying it, and that people are even backing this. It is just unimaginably stupid for me. But back to Renee Nicole, I love her final words. As far as I can tell, her last words were said to the man who shot her, and the words were, "I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you." That's the last thing she said to the person who shot her in the head. It's not easy to resist dogma with humanity, but I think that's what Katniss would do.